Hello everyone, this is Anubrati Devna, the trainee under Lexus & Company for the month of June. So as you have already watched the title below, what this video is all gonna be about, so let's get started. Now what does the word confession in legal terms or in the Act of Indian Evidence Act means? So the word confession means when there is a secret. In basic meaning is when there is a secret and when the person reveals the final secret with or without his will, it is said to be a confession. Now what does the Bare Act says? A confession made by an accused person is irrelevant in a criminal proceeding if the making of the confession appears to the court to have been caused by any inducement, threat or promise, one having reference to the charge against the accused person proceeding from a person in authority and sufficient in the opinion of the court to give the accused person grounds which would appear to him reasonable for supposing that by making it he would gain any advantage or avoid any evil of a temporal nature in reference to the proceedings against him. A confession made by an accused person is irrelevant in a criminal proceeding. So that's it. It basically says that when a confession is made, confession is whatever we know, but when it is made with the intention or with a forceful inducement or any other such act like threat, promise, that includes a confession. Okay, so even if it's threat, it can be confessed. So even if it's a threat act to make him confess, then it's also considered okay, thumbs up. So now let's come to what is confession. So the meaning of the confession in basic terms I already told. Now what does it says that the term confession means to admit, own up or accept blame. In other words, we can say that confession means to acknowledge some personal fact that an individual would ostensibly prefer to keep secret. The word was defined under Section 78 of the Old English Act, Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, as the evidence made by the suspect on the admission of the offence or the guilt. Now that in simple terms you might have understand that confession means to admit. That's a basic or the first synonym of confession is to make, admit or own up or accept the blame what you have done. Confession is usually seen as, the difference between admit and confession is usually seen as, admit means when the act has been maybe wrongful or maybe it's good, but he has admitted it, means the conscience has told him that you should admit it, so that's admit. But confession is somehow means that when the act has already been wrongful act, or if not wrongful in a light sense, if we say it is a not so good act, then when the person realizes his act or the side of its act, means it's a wrong or it's a right, now when he understands and when he tells that the action of telling or the fact he is telling, it is made or it is said to be as confession, because the act he has done is somehow not okay. Okay, now it can be wrong or it can't be like a big wrong. Means wrong means there is a big definition of wrong. So it can't be wrong, but it is not okay. So that's what the basic meaning of confession is. It's actually admission of guilt. That's it. Now let's come to the forms of confession. Now confession are of two kinds. That is confession are of four kinds. One is judicial confession, extrajudicial confession, and I don't see any other. So sorry, let me proceed once again. The forms of confession are of two types. One is judicial confession and the second one is extrajudicial confession. Judicial confession means when the authorities or the administrative bodies make the accused confess it in its own ways. In its ways, it is called judicial confessions. And maybe it can be in the court or it can be in the police station. That is what we get to see in usually lawyers say, that's the judicial confession, but like the lawful ones. And extrajudicial confessions can be the act when he has accepted his guilt or his admissions of the act in some other way, means to some other person who is not who is not a person of law, a direct person of law. So he has confessed it in some other ways, in some other places, not lawfully or not through the exact administrative bodies of the law, but to other persons to whom he has confessed. It can be said as extrajudicial confession. Now there are things of extrajudicial confessions are extrajudicial confessions are by itself a poor kind of evidence, and such claims must be tested successfully by the court. So it is considered true and not true also. That's obviously court will suspect the thing that if he has confessed it, okay. So number 2 is extrajudicial confession should be made by the will of the individual and the argument should be valid. Now if the confession he has done, it should be very much valid. Number 3, the evidentiary significance of extrajudicial confession immediately rises when the other facts of the kind confirm it. So the confession makes it where the dots are there. The confession, maybe the dots are joined or not joined, but the confessions makes it happen. Like okay, gives a tick mark. The confessor's argument must prove his guilt as it proved in the judicial proceedings by any other evidence at issue. So what it is like, even if the confession is being extrajudicial confession is being happening, then the confession must be just parallel to that of judicial confession. Means it should be very much tough and very much innovative in its sense. So that's the fact. Now let's come to the ingredients of section 24 of the Indian Evidence Act. So it tells number 1 is the confession came into effect due to the inducement, threat or promise. So the 3 principal words of this section 24 are inducement, threat or promise. So confession made by force or violence. So the confession made into effect due to inducement, threat or promise. So the ingredients of section 24 is that these 3 things should be done or can be included. They are lawful, they are lawful to object or to observe the evidence of the confession. They are lawful in the eyes of law in only under section 24. Now number 2 is the inducement, threat or promise relates to the charge in question. Now these 3 things should be relevant to the fact that has been occurred, because if the confession is being declared with some other happenings of the event, that's meaningless. So that's why it is very important to make relevant question, relevant confessions to the fact. Number 3, the inducement, threat or promise has to be served by an authority. Now this authority means lawful authority. Not any other person will be said as authority. Authority means a lawful body itself. So the inducement, threat or promise has to be served by a lawful authority, not by any other person, because it becomes extrajudicial confession and then again the same proceedings will happen. But there's judicial confessions objective of the declaration or results or the findings will be declared or being put upon in the court with by an authority, legal authority. Number 4, the inducement, threat or promise holds out some worldly benefit or advantage. So that should always include a worldly benefit or advantage of him, that has, maybe it's physical or it's psychological. So that it should include a benefit of it. So the confession should include a benefit of the act he has done. So the scope of section 24 is that, what is the scope of section 24? That prohibits all faiths. So number 1 is confession makes it clear that law is still in an interrogative way can be very much strict. Number 2 is confessions can be made like both 2 ways that I told, but still if it's not in a legal way, then you have to get into touch with the lawful body, because otherwise the confessions won't matter. Number 3 is confession is objected as a very important means, because it clarifies or puts a end line to the investigation that goes on. So that's all what I talked about. Thank you for watching this video.